absolutely wonderful job looking after her. And when somebody asks me if I think she really should be a she and not an it, well, she's like a ship. She's definitely a she. And Tapstone really confirms that, because he says she's very high maintenance. So here she is, the Avro Vulcan, Roy Chadwick's last triumphant design. He designed, in between the Anson and the Vulcan was the Lancaster. Here she is, from our right, Avro Vulcan XH558. There you got it again, bit of a howl, a Vulcan howl. Nobody's quite sure how it works, but it mostly does. It depends slightly on the weather, but it's to do with having two of the four Olympus engines, two on each side, and both the ones on the same side sharing the single intake. And it's a bit like, I suppose, the Mustang sound of blowing over the top of a Coke bottle. Anyway, that's the Vulcan howl. It's a unique sound as far as I know. So, the shape that was to become Vulcan was first drawn on a scrappy piece of paper in 1946 by Roy Chadwick, we were saying. Sad to say he died a year later in a crash, so he never saw his brilliant design fly, nor did he see it become the first ever operational delta wing aircraft in the world. And she flew in 1952, only 11 years after the Lancaster, 1941. And yet if you compare the two of them, they might as well have come from different planets. A quite extraordinary forward-thinking design by Roy Chadwick. Olympus, two shaft turbojets, 16,500 pounds of thrust each, so about 65,000 pounds altogether. Not much perhaps by modern standards, but pretty good then. She was subsonic. Going back to that original drawing that Roy Chadwick made, if you expand it in length by 1 3/4, 1.75, you get recognisably Concorde, because she is, of course, a Concorde predecessor, and Concorde also had Olympus engines, although rather developed Olympus engines with reheat. So flying her today, captain is the man actually flying over the display is Captain Phil O'Dell, Pod. The man in the other seat is Bill Ramsey, who was flying her earlier in the formation, and the third member of the crew, the air electronics officer, on one of the backward-facing 3 rear seats, is Phil Davis. Here they are with the wheels down. She's not going to land just yet, but you get to see the wheels down in this fly past, all 18 of them, 16 on the main undercarriage and 2 on the nose wheel. Extraordinarily agile this aircraft is. She doesn't have a big yoke to fly her by like most bombers do. She has a fighter type control column. And in the early days the test pilots used to roll her even at the Farnborough Air Show, but that was rather frowned on. It hasn't been done since, as far as I know. Now I think next time she comes she will be opening her bomb bay as she goes past us this time. There it is, the bomb bay is opening. If you can see that, you see how big it is. It's absolutely enormous. It's the heart of the bomber. It's what it's there to do. So that carried 21 1,000-pound bombs. Of course, it originally carried nuclear bombs as well. But after she handed that responsibility over to the Royal Navy, she became a conventional bomber. And of course, right at the end of her service career in 1982, Martin Withers and his crew flew her from Ascension Island down to the Falkland Islands and dropped all 21 1,000-pound bombs on the Port Stanley runway. They hit the runway with 2, that was par for the course. These are wartime bombs, no clever guided stuff. If you wanted to hit a particular target, you took a lot of bombs there, and that's what she did. She was supported by 11 Victor tankers, and it was 7,760 miles round trip, about the same distance as from here to Bali in one hop. And it took altogether 18 air-to-air refuelings, a quite extraordinary event. As she comes back, I think we'll see Phil Davies closing the bomb bay. You can see that strap underneath closing. It's got people's names in it these days from all their wonderful supporters. Of course, the problem with this aeroplane has always been money. Obviously, she's not funded by the government. She doesn't belong to the Royal Air Force, and as I said, it's cost 22 million so far. She got 2.7 from an unprecedented heritage lottery grant, and the rest has come from, well, you, wonderful people. Wonderful people include Sir Jack Hayward, the late Sir Jack Hayward, outstanding contribution. Also, Eddie Forrester of Aerolite. And there's another of those amazing turns. As we were saying, this is her last season, and the reason for that is that the 3 technical authority companies who have responsibility for her, BAE Systems, Marshall Aerospace and Defence Group and Rolls-Royce, it is they that have finally decided that her illustrious flying life is coming to a close. They have decided to cease their support at the end of this season, and without that support, under Civil Aviation Authority regulations, Vulcan will be prohibited from flying. It isn't about funding, it's not about the supply of parts, it is about mandatory third-party support. Some of the factors involved in that decision to no longer support her after the end of this year are that she's flown more than 10% more hours than any Vulcan has in the past. So it could be considered that we're into an area of unknown unknowns. So that will be it at the end of the year. She's got a very full programme between now and then. There are lots of other opportunities to see her. And indeed, a couple called Alan and Valerie Ward are celebrating their 18th wedding anniversary today. They are here today. It's the first of several shows at which they're going to see Vulcan this year. They can't think of a better way to spend their anniversary day. They are indeed very proud Vulcan supporters. So Anne and Valerie, congratulations and thanks for all your support. And indeed, thanks to everybody else for all their support over the years. She's still being enjoyed by something like 3 million people every year, probably more this year. That's an increase of 50% on 3 years ago. And people are inspired to learn about engineering and aviation. Learning about aviation and engineering is what's going to happen at Doncaster, at her home base. Used to be RAF Finningley, it's now Robin Hood Airport, Doncaster, Sheffield. And when she finishes her flying career, she will become Project Etna in a brand new building. That's a sort of like Project Eden, but for engineering and technology. And she'll be there to inspire young people to go into aviation and engineering generally. Etna, the reason for the name, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't cotton onto it myself, is that Etna was the workshop. Mount Etna, the volcano, was the workshop of the god Vulcan. So how suitable is that? Now I'm waiting to see her wheels coming down because I think she's going to land, and we will have a special treat today, at least I hope we will. The undercarriage is coming down now because we're going to see her land and stream her braking parachute, I hope. They don't do this very often because it's very expensive. at least a couple of grand, but I hope they're going to do it today. I was wrong about the undercarriage. Now the undercarriage is coming down. So, please do go and see the Vulcan village. It's off to the left-hand end where you see the big aircraft parked there, the US Air Force C-17, the E-3, the big radar aircraft, and then there's a little C-295 from the Czech Air Force. So if you go in that order and walk past, you will find the Vulcan village there. Please do go and see them. There's some wonderful things to have there. You can get free entry to a draw to win an airfield experience at Robin Hood Airport when she's going flying. You would be with the ground crew starting her up and getting her prepared. There's a raffle. The first prize is fast taxiing in this aircraft with Martin Withers. The second prize is a flight in a Spitfire alongside 558. The third is a flight with the blades in formation with 558. So an extraordinary raffle available. And also, of course, this afternoon she will be taxiing back from the when she lands to come to this side of the airfield, and you will be able to do underwing tours with her. You'll be asked to contribute a $5, I think. But you get to walk around under the wing. You have a guided tour. So please do go and see the folks at the Vulcan village when she's landed. As she comes into land, you can see those big air brakes, top and bottom of the wing. You can see the 18 and 16 main wheels and the 2 wheels of the nose undercarriage. Touching down now. And there is the braking parachute. Well, if this is the last time you see her, I'd like to give you a thought from the great Dr. Seuss, the man who wrote The Cat in the Hat and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He wrote, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened." If you can't manage that, at least a smile through the tears. So please don't miss on the opportunity to go and see the Vulcan village.